Mobilityways is shortly going to take you through this new piece of software that we've created called CommuteIQ. It really is intended to tackle some of the things that we've been talking about, to make sure that we can help improve retention rates, support recruitment, inform those policies that you're developing and evolving around hybrid working, where best to encourage people to work from home from a sustainability perspective, enhancing well-being and underpinning those organisational changes. The first piece of work we normally do is a travel survey, because we want to understand how staff are currently commuting to and from work, and also where barriers exist to stop them travelling more sustainably, and where there may be enablers or incentives that would encourage them to try something different. So I think it was quite interesting that we undertook a survey recently of our membership and found, well, I think from about 7,500 responses, for the first time, individuals were saying that it was the main barriers to changing their behaviour was actually the availability of services, as opposed to things like convenience and time and so on. And that was a significant majority who were telling us that. So I found that quite interesting. Next slide, please. So what CommuteIQ will do, as I say, that works alongside that data from the surveys, is to actually understand the art of the possible. So these are real world choices that exist for employees in terms of commuting, as opposed to their current behaviour. It will also flag up where we've got gaps in services, and therefore which third parties might we be working with to help mitigate those shortfalls, because that's about aligning services with needs of staff, which is exactly what we did in that Prologis example. And then what would be the impact? If we're able to actually change the way people commute, what does that mean across a range of metrics? So climate, financial, and well-being. And of course, built into that is also around retention of staff and recruitment of staff. So Gemma will take you through what is an evolution of what we used to call mobility scoping, and hopefully demonstrate how this will improve your appreciation of the opportunities that sustainable commuting can provide against some of these challenges. Over to you, Gemma.
Thanks, Mark. I'm just going to quickly share my screen. Hopefully you should all be able to see that now. You just give me a thumbs up or just let me know. I'm assuming everyone can see that.
You're all good, Gemma. All good.
All good? Brilliant. Thanks, Mark. Great. So yeah, thanks, Mark, for the introduction. Good morning, everyone. So as Mark sort of mentioned, we have the brand new CommuteIQ app, which is a new and improved version of our scoping reports, but it's much more user-friendly and interactive platform, which you can use to gain visibility of your data, and also analyse your staff's commuting potential and options to get to work. So for the sake of this demo, I'll just be using some dummy data for employees based at Heathrow Airport whose shift time starts at 8 AM. So the summary report starts by setting out the key statistics that you would want to consider. So they are the average commute distance, the driver lane emissions, sustainable options, and also the ASL opportunity. So for HR professionals, the key stats that you would want to focus on within your role would be the average commute distance and also the sustainable options. Understanding the average distance that your employees travel to get to work sort of day in, day out is really key when it comes to understanding the potential for and also the actual process of implementing different travel initiatives within your organisation to ultimately just help staff get to site. So these initiatives could look like cycle to work schemes, EV salary sacrifice, shuttle bus services, and again, we would help you with the implementation of these services. So the report also sets out the different modes of travel that your employees could be using to travel to site. So as you can see, we've got active travel, public transport, and also car sharing options. So in this example data that we're using here, we can see that 92% of employees could be car sharing to work, which is obviously a really high percentage. So it's the perfect opportunity for you as an organisation to explore the potential for introducing a car share scheme, so that those who would struggle to get to work without a car can get to work easily, but can also share fuel costs and parking costs, which at the moment, obviously with the cost of living, is a massive one, and also helps to reduce parking demand and congestion on site. So as Emma mentioned, if you are an organisation that has to lease extra car parking spaces to make sure that you can give staff the opportunity to park on site, you can reduce the amount that you're sort of purchasing, and also just make sure that you've got a much more sort of greener site and place to work. We also have the option within CommuteIQ to view your data analysis on a map. So you can see these employees are plotted as dots on the map. So all of these pink dots are employees. If I scroll out, it helps you to get an idea of, within this example, how far spread out these employees are in comparison to where the site is. So I'm just going to zoom in a little bit there. So if we move over to the car share filter, so also worth mentioning within this map that you can flip between public transport, active travel, car share, all the different modes available. I'm just going to stick with our car share example for now. And as you can see, the postcodes that you're looking at change in colour, and they reflect the car share matches that are available. So we've got a key on the right hand side here. So these green dots are employees that have 10 plus options available for car sharing. Green is 4 to 9, red is 1 to 3. So I'm going to focus on Watford here. So you can see we've got an employee in red who has only one potential car match. But if we go over to one of these green postcodes, you can see that this employee actually has 12 car share matches. So what can you do with this data? Well, the first is that you can use it to see clusters of people and identify what options are actually available to those employees to make their journey easier to site, but also the most sustainable. That's a really important one to consider at the moment. As Emma said, we are moving more away from purely working from home. Hybrid working is becoming more popular, and a lot of organisations are wanting employees to come in more often. So obviously that's a big consideration when you're looking at how your employees are currently travelling to site, but also when you are recruiting as well. So if we stick with our car share example, if I sort of can take this into consideration, obviously you can see that the majority of these employees are green because you've got a really big cluster here that live right near to site. If I move that over to the public transport comparison filter, you can see that about a third of employees actually change over to red, which means that they're outside the 2x driving factor. This means that if they were to travel by public transport, it would take them twice as long to travel to site as it would if they were driving alone, which means that they'd probably be less likely to actually choose that public transport option because it's just not as convenient to them. So what you can do is use this data to say, okay, well, these people, they're probably not really going to travel by public transport, but if we actually show them that they have lots of car sharing options, they're less likely to drive alone to site, which is obviously what we want to deter people from doing. You can also sort of use this map as a way to sort of target your recruitment a bit more. So you can look at existing clusters of employees, which enables you to understand which locations you should focus on when it comes to recruitment. So you could even include this information in your job ad. So we have, a car share platform, we have a shuttle bus service, we work with multiple different public transport providers, just to give prospective recruits confidence that they can actually get to site, especially if they don't drive themselves, which, as Emma said, it is a massive consideration for people at the moment. So if I just go back to the report quickly, I'm just going to show you another section that I think would be really relevant for you for HR. So we're going to look at sustainable travel modes again, which just helps you to understand how many travel modes are actually available to your employees, which are also sustainable. So in this example, we've got 96% of staff have at least one sustainable travel mode available to them, which again is super high. You can see the majority of the journeys that are available are through car sharing, but you've also got over 2,000 public transport journeys that are available. So lots of different options for people to get to site. We've also got the active travel section here, which just sets out what the potential is for people to actively travel. So in this example, we can see only about 1% of employees would actually be able to walk to site. But if we look at the cycling options, 22%, which is about 735 employees, would be able to cycle. That again would influence having another look at initiatives internally. So 735 people is quite a bit. Could you actually introduce a cycle to work scheme so you're rewarding people for cycling? Could that help you to make more of a case to improve facilities on site? So showers, secure bike sheds, internal sort of repair workshops, things like that. So again, it just helps you to sort of see the benefits of that, and also just encourage that well-being piece in terms of mental and physical well-being that comes with active travel. So you can include that in any sort of mental health well-being programs that you have existing within the business as well. Alongside that, we also have the active travel alternatives section. So if you do have, quite a big percentage of your workforce that do like to walk or cycle to work in the summer and spring months, but actually they don't really want to do that in the autumn and winter when the weather does tend to turn and it gets quite miserable, you can ultimately empower those employees to say, okay, well, car sharing is an option that you can sort of select, or public transport. Again, it just helps those employees to consider other options other than just going back to driving alone, which is quite common for those who go from active travel in the summer to other options in the winter. We then also got the car share potential section over here. So again, just going back to our car share sort of example. This helps you to, again, further understand and communicate the benefits that come with car sharing for your employees. So in this example, again, 92% would have a car share match within 1 mile of their home. You can see that if your employees were to collectively car share and sort of reach their potential, altogether they could save over £1 million per year, which obviously is a massive saving, and that would equate to about £400 per employee per year. So again, sort of looking at that cost of living issue at the moment, what can you do extra to help your employees save that money? Car sharing is a really good way to do that. And then finally, we do have a couple of sections that look over sort of your overall commuting emissions and what you're doing to save there. I'll just stick to ASL opportunity just for this example. But here we have the ASL opportunity, which is quite good PR piece, if you will. It helps to show that you're taking steps to become really sustainable and green. You're considering your commuting as part of this. So this is a great one to target sort of recruit employees who are a lot more sustainably minded and green, who will look at your credentials when it comes to your sustainability initiatives and your environmental initiatives. So it's just another one to consider, and always helpful to have an overview of. So that's just a really quick top level look at CommuteIQ. Obviously, if you would like a more in-depth demo, please do let us know. We also have a CommuteIQ demo video on our YouTube channel, so feel free to check that out. But ultimately, CommuteIQ empowers you to have those conversations about implementation of schemes because it gives you the data to back those conversations, which is great when you're sort of asking your estates and facilities teams to sort of break the mold, essentially. So that is CommuteIQ.